from Slovakia. Hello, my name is Gális, and I work for NGO Raptor Protection of Slovakia. I'm pleased to be able to present to you our knowledge on the issue of Imperial Eagle mortality on medium voltage power lines. One of the main topics we are working on within our organization is the issue of birds and power lines. For over 40 years, we have been solving the problems of electrocutions and collisions in our territory in cooperation with the power companies. I have been working on this topic for almost 10 years, and in that time, I've seen a lot of progress and positive changes in the approach of energy companies in dealing with the problem of electrocution in Slovakia. In our territory, we have approximately 35,000 kilometers of lines of different voltage drives. Especially medium voltage power lines are one of the most important mortality factors of Raptors in Slovakia. Among the frequent victims of electrocution are also rare species such as Imperial Eagle. 22 kV lines are managed by 3 distribution companies. The split of competencies is geographical. In Slovakia, the problem of electrocution has been the focus for mitigation measures since 1991, especially the Life Energy project, which we implemented in 2014 to 2019, brought new insight into this topic, as systematic monitoring of almost 61,000 medium voltage poles was carried out during this period. Electrocution was defined as the main mortality factor of cadavers found. Almost 80% of all identified carcasses died as a result of electrocution. Nesting sites of Imperial Eagle are located in western and eastern part of Slovakia, especially in lowland areas. In western Slovakia, majority of pairs are nesting in foothills, whilst in eastern Slovakia, majority of pairs are nesting in lowlands. Systematic monitoring of the Imperial Eagle population has been carried out since 1977, when the abundance of the breeding population was about 2 to 10 breeding pairs. After 2000, the settlement of the lowlands and the associated gradual increase in the breeding population were recorded, facilitated by targeted conservation measures. In 2022, the population reached about 90 breeding pairs with 108 fledged chicks in Slovakia. Many of the breeding pairs have gradually relocated from the foothills to nearby agrocenosis, with a higher risk of possible electrocution, as they often use the poles for resting This is the picture with the network of 22 kV lines in western Slovakia. I only wanted to illustrate you how dense the network of medium voltage lines is just right in the area of the occurrence of the Imperial Eagle. So there is high assumption of possible risk of electrocution. For the period 1993 to 2022, total of 28 cases Imperial Eagle mortalities were recorded in Slovakia. More extensive monitoring was carried out within the Life Energy project in the period 2014 to 2019, when 16 victims were found. For the other years, these are random cases. Therefore, the presented numbers do not reflect the actual mortality rate of the Imperial Eagle on 2020 kV lines in Slovakia. The mortalities of individuals were mainly located below the most frequent types of the support poles with upper position of pin-type insulators. Preventing electrocution of birds is also important to compensate for other threats that species face. In particular, poisoning with other illegal activities is still a serious threat also in Slovakia. This is a very common case of nesting near 2020 kV pole. Often the poles are located or are the first landing site for young birds, as the vegetation in large agrocenosis is minimal or completely absent. A serious problems was observed especially for juveniles and inexperienced individuals during their first flights, landings and takeoffs. Especially in case of juveniles, the burn marks are very numerous, as you can see on the pictures. You can notice that both individuals were burned in many parts of their bodies, which indicates that there was most probably some problems or panic during landing on pole. These are the solutions we apply in Slovakia. Lowest mortality risk was identified for measures that allow birds to perch safely on the crossarm in comparison to anti-perching elements. Therefore, the grid operators started to prefer the use of supports with safe cross-arm configuration for newly constructed lines or insulating materials and elements that reflect these findings. It's not possible to use some insulating materials. It's also possible to protect the birds from electrocution by modification of supports. It's important to relocate the dangerous parts of the poles. As you can see on the left, switch disconnectors and the dangerous parts were relocated to below position, below the main crossarm. On the right, you can see that even the riskiest poles can be also saved by some small changes. The DSO changed the position of expo jumper wire for the suspended type. It's very simple, effective, and cheap solution. And also the pair wires were replaced or with insulated ones, and the mortality rate has been reduced to 0. So it's a very good solution that we applied in Slovakia, and as I mentioned, it's very cheap and very quick solution. Medium voltage lines consist of thousands of supporting poles. It's therefore important to set the priority areas, breeding sites, feeding areas, where the main effort should be focused primarily. This approach is fully implemented within the cooperation between Raptor Protection of Slovakia and DSOs in Slovakia, and also under the project Live the New Free Sky. Under this project, at least 800 most dangerous poles will be insulated. Satellite transmitters installed on juveniles of Imperial Eagle also help in the identification of priority poles and also bring new insights in the mortality rate. Prevention of electrocution is especially important in the case of Imperial Eagle, as the loss of even one individual can have a negative impact on the viability of the local population. Therefore, many identified risky poles are insulated by grid operators very quickly. Sometimes the mitigation measures are adopted within a few days. In Slovakia, the protection of wild bird species in relation to their mortality on power lines is required by the national legislation. It is not necessary to force the grid operators under the law. We have also very good cooperation with the State Nature Conservancy of the Slovak Republic and also with the Ministry of Environment of the Slovak Republic. Thanks to this cooperation, only approved protective elements and cross-arm designs that have undergone a risk assessment processes can be applied and can be used on power lines. Our energy companies also have internal guidelines how to proceed in case of electrocution. They have guidelines how to install the insulating elements. Very important is that these guidelines are updated regularly based on the actual data and results from field service. The involvement of energy companies in the development of methodologies, field service, and data evaluation and collection was crucial, and this helped us to build mutual trust. I'm very proud that the cooperation in Slovakia is excellent, and all relevant stakeholders helps protect the birds from electrocution on power lines. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me by email. I wish you a successful conference and thank you for your attention.